So. Well, to the monks at the temple, um, I don't know the three statue of Buddha, the one that makes the ball, the one that makes the bowl, and the one that holds the thingamajig. So, uh, all I know is that the one I have is that that's when Papa was young. Oh, you're blocked. I don't want to think too much. Anyway, um, what was I gonna say? Uh, Messiah. In relation to Emerald. Oh, forget about it. Been there, done that. Who are they? I don't know who they are. I don't want to know. So, I love learning. In that way, Messiah. It's just. Huh? I think you're a monk. Oh, oh. So, divisions to support the coho. Division to support the coho based upon the artificial intellectual copy artificial intellectual is a tribunal based upon the witches of craft. Perhaps, but in a matter of time, Grant, the working visa is an acronym of your Pelicason. But San Francisco, in relation to your working visa, how many hours or allegation are you allowed to harvest by the farmer? I sense the vibe because back in the old days when I was younger, it was on the document that I found that some illegal immigrant merces through the mesh of the farm and they want to pluck apples, pears, and orange. They only allow tenfold. So, but lawyers in the supplement of your harvest station to resource the evolution of. So in that time, once we harvest the resources for our working visa based upon our currency, we have to be or no. So in that way, the understanding of your working visa is that grant. The Australian currency is different than where you come from in the US, right? But Beijing and also Bendigo. What is the currency matter of the Witches of Craft by the tribunal? Because the tribunal is based upon the business infrastructure. The business infrastructure is an illusion of knowing how to borrow. Should I help? A little bit more. Only tiny bit. Borrow. Ah. So, in that way, the harvest station in the classes of the Hebrew and also the classes of. But in our Hebrew, the harvest station of our weak testing of our oxygen is that once you arrive, you got to be safe for what you eat to drink. And in relation to what you eat to drink is that your umbilical cord may be dusty in relation to how many years have you been to Australia and how long have you lived in Bendigo and how far have you been born in your country. So in that way, the chlorella can also be measured in relation to your health condition before you arrive for the working visa. So Grant, in relation to your working visa, your ancient world is that for your safety, buying a certain amount of survival kit to last longer and also to inflame. the ananan. Because in that way, based upon the temple in Springvale, the bowl, the bowl, and that thing, I call it skutung. Skutung. Well, skutung is based upon my old friend Batman, Scooter. But when you manufacture the skutung, now I forgot the word, the first word, is that your working visa is only an alliance of how healthy you are before you got hired. So in the country per town, if there is Coles, Woolies, Safeway, or early you blog. But anyway, in that way, the wherever you go, whatever you do, just stay healthy so that you have your normal energy, which is like you wake up and you work, you come home, you sleep, you watch TV, etc., etc., and then you play PC games or Nintendo game or PlayStation game or Xbox game. No, just normal things. Just do normal things. So in normal things that you do, it's just a normal energy. So when you go to a farmer, if you want an allowance based upon your new start, you have to perform the next manufacturing degree by the uh, Joseph and to include the artificial intellectual copy tissue. Because in that way, when you are re-allowed to have the second or the third, fifth episode of your work, if you are an expertise in relation to your CVS by resume, then um, product sick pay. So in that way, they work out if you have any less energy to work because you come from a different country and you realize that the Buddha is noni koshongnon. So you are traveling like monkey magic. So in that way, when you do that, the working visa is only an allergen because if no, it's only an allergen. So so it's only an allergen. So the temple at Springwell Buddha with the ball, I don't remember. Yeah, with the ball, I don't know what that is. But based upon the ball of your stigma, your understanding of the Stiktaton by Miss E.T. is Jerusalem in relation to your country. But in relation to your country, you have to reallocate that you are only deserve a percentages of the value before you be reunited into the kingdom of heaven. But in that way, when you have the sick pay based upon your stigma, which is a normal energy that you sleep, wake up, eat, work, etc., etc. So in that way, if the first class is only an economics result of a form, then your application form will be remeasured in relation to your health by the general practitioner? No, just a practitioner. So in that way, if you want to apply for a job here or other countries that you want to travel to, then the condition of the alchemistry will be tested before you will be approved. So I know each country has a different currency and each country has a different valuation of their money. So the productive of your money is that when you have your money, Queen Elizabeth. Yes, like that. Yes. So in that way, uh, we will work out the math condition of your scene selector and also to Pluxason, the monkey magic. So when you travel through the bureau based upon your statics, yes, then you will be electron prom. So in that way, your body will be measured to be retested in relation to the practitioner to see how your health condition is before you get hired. And when you get hired, what you do is eating, keeping a weight and stuff like that, is the food perfecto? No, no poton, which mean a little bit like your own country. So when you go or find a restaurant to what you want to eat by Jennifer, sister, doesn't last long. I met him when I was young, but no, no. But anyway, in that way, when you have the methodology in relation to your own inking system, you will formulate into the next birth tissue of a pompon. So in that way, what you eat is healthy to give you enough energy to go back to work, sleep out, nags, and when you nags, it will make you to have another sleep, and then when you get used to it, the, your working visa, how many years? That's all I can do, Grant, for now. So, how many years that are you allowed to be in Australia to work into your own way? I don't know. Well, Mexican food is here, yes, but in Mexico, your nationality is different. But Ray, you're from Mexico. But Ray, at Safeway in Woolley, there's Mexican stuff as well. But the difference you can tell, can't you? Of course you can, because in your country it's a different climate system. In our country it's a different climate system. So each country has a different climate system. So in our climate system, what we eat, what we wear is for our Gersenan of safety. Before and after, your working visa will be reapproved. So if you get used to it, you get reapproved. But if you meet someone that you fall in love, do you remember when we first fall in love? We were young and innocent free. Are you allowed to have the permanent resident? So the Statist Bureau, based upon are you allowed, does that mean you go to the church when you get married and get the wedding certificate? No, it's not true. Only when it's true. But then you get hired. But your working visa is just a working visa. 6 months, approximately 1 year, but different time. But that means you have to save your money to travel back home and come back. And in that way, it will help you guys to work out the currency. So, that's what it means. So in that way, when it does that, it will composite into the composer by the flamingo. So, the allergies, cold, flu, allergy, etc., etc., Brendan, is the mechanism. So in that way, in Mexico, San Francisco, outer Intel, then you work together. So your job is your job, my job is my job, your job is your job. So the status quo is that when you eat better, you live longer in your own country home. But in your own country home, that you are selected by the Bureau to see how well you will off out the amount of grade to enjoy the currency by your country and your country. You have two countries, and within your two countries, which way will you work out the math condition of your homesick? So when you go home back to your country, you get sick because it's a different climate system. But you were born there, you grew up. But because you've been here, you weren't born here, you grew in. So in that way, how often are you allowed? Nothing I can do, I'm not a practitioner. So when they do that, let's see how well you are before you get married and get a wedding certificate. But it has to be true and real, like I'm married to John. So in relation to your currency, if you are interested in working a little bit of your money, Grant, Eaton. I think somewhere in the park it's called Eaton. Eaton, Eton. I can't pronounce it. Sorry, it's just Grant Eton. So in that way, once we select the manifold of the not the temple, oh, yeah, sure. Thank you, Buddha. I don't know what that thing is. No, Dalai Lama does. So in your country town, that we are. Oh yeah, wait. All right, bye. Yeah, see you when you finish work. So anyway, Grant Eaton. Sorry, I can't pronounce your surname. But I remember I met you at Circuit when I was just come out from the hospital. Are you gay? Don't know. Oh, but you've been to my recovery party as well, Grant Eaton. Oh yeah. Anyway, based upon the yeah, see ya. Based upon the episode of your synmetics, because the synmetics is that your currency is a belong. So within your currency, when there is the Buddha bowl, how do we know that in SYD the allegation of the paramam is just that your mother gave you birth in your own country? So for the safety of your second country, when you are grown, your accent would change. Ask Olga Sutcliffe. Her accent kind of changed, but she do remember her accent because she's from London. But in that way, your accent, Grant, is. Oh, I forgot where you live. You said you come from somewhere. Um, Not San Francisco. Oh, you said something about San Francisco. I don't remember. But anyway, Grant Eaton, based upon your nearly finished. Based upon your allowance of your youth work, yes, the working visa is only an account. So your production of your account is that when you share into your math condition by your own currency, it will help your bosses to aluminum the arrogation of your resources. So in that way, when you feel like going home or you finish the that's how it does working visa, then it will spin through to your country. So when you do that grant, it will measure the own currency by Mexican. But in Mexican, the chili board, yes, and the what do you call that? Those things in Coles and Woolly. Starts with P. I'll just call it Picaccia. But Picaccia is actually an artist. Yeah, Picaccia. You know which one. You know. Oh, I'm not gonna tell you. So in that way, Ray, when you are arranging the floccuson of your mare, then, oh, Ray, you gave me a shout for Red Bull and vodka. So in that way, you are rearranging the trenson. So you are complumpsum, your own currency. Because in San Francisco and Mexico, where is the leader of sergeant to math their own resources? So within their own resources, how can you Baltasan the grand issue of your own working visa? And if you survive well in relation to Australia, your working visa will be expiring into Tutra. So which means your second attempt to come back to Gadi, no, to Rilmong, the resources for your bosses is that you are helping each other to communicate together. But you still can communicate back to San Francisco. But when you do that means that your boss will travel to San Francisco to have a look at your work? It's a thunder of knowing. So in both way, since it's a thunder of knowing based upon the croc, because the croc is just a Zoolander in relation to Mexican. But in Mexican, the Ablamlam of the Algebrino, yes, is Afghanistan. So in that way, how come our world is that Grant Eaton is Ray in relation to a subject, like that? So in relation to the subject, whatever you work, Ray, it is Dodong. So since you are from Mexico, I think, oh, I don't know. And since Ray Eaton is from San Francisco, how do we know the conform? No, that's all we can do. Because isn't the American country? Yes, San Francisco is. And how about Mexico? Somewhere, isn't it? The borderline? I don't know. So in that way, oh, wait a minute. Oh, I can't pronounce his name. Quantantino. Your movie is from Dusk to Dawn. I really like it. And there was George Clooney when he was really young. But he went to Mexico as well. Oh, he did some evil stuff. Oh, I like it. But now it looks so fake. Seen it too many times. But anyway, so Grant Eaton, in your allowance, you are flashonton into your bosses to indicate your sub-advertisement. And when you do that, your sub-advertisement is based upon your Mankam Pomfong Brendan or Autoshon in the econom, which means internet marketing. So Brendan, since you are Australian, do you want to help Grant Eaton to market his website by search engine optimization or email? Don't know. You do whatever you want to do. It's got nothing to do with me. So anyway, in relation to the business plan, yes, I used to be on NEIS, I think, NEIS, based upon business plan, because I was on a dole. And then that's when I was in Mentone and I saw the devil. So anyway, based upon your working visa, how many bank fees are you arranging to elegant the aftershave, etc., etc.? I can't help you anymore, sorry. But in that way, your working visa and the immigrant is that each country town has a different currency based upon your own currency. So in the USA, the perform of the British Army is that their currency is into the Pakistan, etc., into the Mexican. So in that time, if there is clothes or drinks or whatever, you are sharing into each other by your secretary and bosses to advert into Renbam, which means, do you want to get drunk? Anyway, everyone, yeah, I'm just here to help because it's my business as well, and I hope my business runs well. So anyway, based upon the artificial intelligence is that the harvestation by the mechanism is the law of the intuition, because the law of the intuition based upon your fun of sharing in relation to your development by Brendan is the internet protocol, because the internet protocol is that your emails are regardless of price out and indicating where Grant will be the administrator to come back to Australia to meet their boss and to indicate the secretary that the currency only value 1, 2, 3, which is a kindergarten, 1, 2, 3. So in that way, if the conference is only a network of British colony, the artificial intellectual translator will position itself into the compliance of its own maturity. Thunder 58. Sender 6. 3 Allah. 2 phase. 1 time. Our bankruptcy is based upon our shantasan, because what we make, what we build based upon our economy is that the bankruptcy will be reconfirmed in relation to Net Kelly and to indicate where we can drop out the defront. Because where we can drop out the defront, it is the confirmation of our law and also to share threkoshon. Because in that way, the math condition of physics is the encanson. Because the sender will actually align itself into the column and the compliance of the network. Grid 2. It's not God, it's an animal creator. So in that way, if we can validate that the sheepskin is the mixin of Mexico and also to the Spain in relation to Queen Elizabeth the movie, we are evident in relation to our Prakasa. So thanks Grant and Ray. I mean, you've been to my recovery party, but after a while I haven't seen you for so long. You said you're gonna go back. Oh yeah, you said you go back to San Francisco. So anyway, the conferment of life is based upon the separator of the defront, because in this way, if there is a bankruptcy based upon Mexico and San Mo, you can also perform your network of a traveler to indicate your own friendship. So within your own friendship, we are arranging our allocation to perform the resources. Yes, so in that way, to perform the resources is that your bosses are inconsistent in our law. But Queen Elizabeth, based upon French Connection United Kingdom, your brand, haven't you started that with Ben Sherman as well? Because I fell in love with Ben Sherman, but now, oh, they're still at Chaston, yeah. But in relation to Ben Sherman, that the tempesehe of knowing that the teleport is just a domprom of the conviction of this bankruptcy, because your validation of that and this and that is that the defront is so based on that temple in Springwell. Oh, what was it? The ball, and the thing. Do we know how to manufacture the acting career of reference number and bum? What is a bum? Yeah. So, to the guy that owns Aussie Bum. You passed, didn't you? And I cried for you. Oh, things happen in life, people, mates. You know. So anyway, the defront of the British colony is the Sekasan, because in that time, if we validate the defront, we can map the condition of our PC gear and to indicate the 5th position. Because the translator is that Papa know that I bought this computer from PC Gear. It's very good, very, very good. And later on, we get a godlike. So in that time, when we can send the signal in relation to our translator by the satellite, the alien creator will map the condition for Grant Eaton to tell a story to send the 56th position of teleport and to Eden. So in that way, Eden, the Eve of Adam, is the Makasan of law and to intercess the AFL. So in that way, AFL, that coach, is an ordering system. So in that way, when we can flexion the differong, we can measure the next alien creator in relation to our developer and also to sicknessen our bladder. Bladder, well, we have a bladder in our body system. But the climate system, I don't know anything in relation to other country. I mean Africa, South Africa, Northeast Africa, intake Southeast Africa by the compression of the diaphragm. And in that way, our chemistry is the mechanism of Poseidon, because if you ever found pieces of river soil, you will know where it comes from. Then you can drink well. So in that way, the maximal number, the maximal number of technology is that based upon your diaphragm, we can work out the sister act to argument, because the sister act to argument is that in Vietnam, the successes of law is that the argument is only a kara, like that, and in so its validating to this signal is a season, because the alien creator was Sambalam, the transa, and the fifth position of artificial intellectual copy tissue, ANCOP. This river is the River Nile. So in relation to Mexico, the River Nile is based upon your drinks and to indicate where you off out the validation. So your working visa is only an account to share the monson, because San Francisco, I have your t-shirt. So in that time, once you have the Incanon, you also share into Grand Eaton to possess the law and to indicate where this soil will be. Sun round. So the diaphragm in relation to the sun round is that the Amaman will be measured in the Makassang, because you're British Alunan. So in the way of the sender in relation to your relationship, Grant Eaton, is that the math condition of your bosses is just an indication of the diaphragm, but within your currency. But in San Francisco, isn't it a normal US money? Where's San Francisco? Or is that's just a country, isn't it? But anyway, my dad's brother moved to not Cambodia, Canada. Yes, in US. He lives in Canada. My uncle. Oh, yes. So anyway, the diaphragm of this quota is that when you crave cheese to make Pizza Hut, then you can inflection the law in relation to owned pizza. So the thinner base of pizza based upon the sender of this diaphragm is that your validation of the British colony will compact the working visa in relation to the ambulance and to share into your work pethy. So when they check you check out, then they will indicate where check in out in for. So when you are healthy enough to eat the condition of your method, you will last longer here. So if this is your favorite country or any other country is your favorite, and if you're fag or straight or whatever, I don't mind, you can just stay there. But I don't think I can do that. Does the government do that or police do that? I don't know, or the Pope. So I don't know how that works in relation to your own life. So, based upon Russia, when you get married in Australia, I saw some illegal things when I was young. You know, apparently they adopt, not ad oh yeah, apparently they adopt an Aussie lady and married by Russian. No. But anyway, in the time we can also send the position of our working visa in relation to the DFRA, because in relation to the DFRA, it is the measurement of our DFRON, because the measurement of our DFRON is the market state of our law to indicate the temperature. Here it is, heart rate. So sector 7. Dark crystal, country, tell us about country, sector, any, DFRON. That's what DFRON. So in this way, DFRON, the application to perform your working visa by the I don't know, but hey everyone, my name is Alan Lloyd. I come from a digital world and I have arrived from the blue planet. Well, my mom didn't born me. Oh, my mom born me, but I'm not God. I'm not an alien. I'm just an worldie. I'm just Alan Lloyd. Anyway, so anyway, based upon the DFRON, the understanding of our working visa is an advertisement based upon Brendan to share into the internet marketing as well as queer as folks. Where is queer as folks? What country is that or town is that? But in that way, the TV series to perform your network of the amphetamine is to work out the croc, because in relation to the croc, if you want to travel here to visit your friends or whatever, of course, but in a matter of time. Listen, you're not alone. Just kidding. So anyway, in relation to our timer, the diphthong is that the San Francisco, no, not really, that is Tumblr. So in San Francisco, when you market your business in relation to your safety of your own way to share into the makeup artist, then the Buddhism will help you to understand the non-religion to the movie maker and to perform the monkey magic and drive through your own town to share into your own friends at home, country home, sector 7. So in that way, when we position into the diphthong in relation to our sepanang, we will perform the next work of artificial intellectual copy amount of artificial by the professor to indicate that your health condition is healthy to come back or go through the next country. So, Grant Eaton, you're not administrator. What class is your? You're on. You're in LinkedIn. Yeah, you're in LinkedIn. So in that way, based upon your company, Grant Eaton, your bosses will actually resource. Nah, that's all can do. Grant and Ray, that's all can do. So in that way, the opportunity to offer into the account of the application will be returning into the guardianship for the non-engenome, which means energizer of your health. That's all. 64 play. 64 play is the institutional. Oh, what happened? Why not leave it? Oh, yeah, the animal creator. He's here. Uncle. So, Croc. Next time I tell you a story about. Hey, see? True heart I have. I'm innocent. Yes, and trustworthy. And sensibility. Softy. Sometimes. Ooh, I'm not gonna say. But anyway, um, what else? I'm just telling you a story. That's all I am. I'm not a creator. I'm not a body. I'm just Alan Lord. I'm just telling you a story. That's all I am. So based upon Croc, the understanding of Croc is that I gotta find my mum's potato. Oh, I shouldn't have said that. You know what? You know what the brain condition is now, Professor? It's not blank or blam. It's kind of like I'm acting like a puss. Which means, you know, lower than humanity. So in that way, when we order the segmentation of our Blagadi Kochono Tasana, we can also re-evaluate our working visa into the condition of a method and to try to be the bishop in relation to the marriage. Well, don't know that immigrant lady. I was poor and I was living in the street. But anyway, I can't be bothered. But in that time, in relation to your country, I know each country has their own decimal of the plexon and also the own decimal of the understanding of their own current affair and of the news reporter to of out the diameter of our own country, because in Australia our country is our country, their country is their country, but within our country each country is the Queen Elizabeth to share the hibernation of British Cambodia. So in that way, I don't know how this market work in relation to Grant Eaton, because I'm just a storyteller. So anything that we find in our own country, if it's made in Australia, San Francisco, Mexico, Italy, etc., etc., then how can we current? Yeah, you know. Star Trek number 12, Divilangasan. May the force be with you. So, so monkey magic.